Well, unfortunately, it's holding the people at the top of it accountable, whether they want to be at the top or they find themselves at the top. If they want to be at the top, you gotta roll it back. Roll it back. I don't like leaders. I don't like people who want to lead something. That's where the danger comes in. What? Yeah. That's fine. I'll lead my little wheelhouse, and then if people want to come watch, great. But I don't. I've been very careful and very purposeful in saying I'm not responsible for this. I'm not responsible for the movement or what they do. I will say what I say. I don't call people to go do something. If you find me calling people to do something, it's always, look, let's go support this convention, and just say thank you. Like that's it. Like, by the way, when you get done here, make sure you say thanks, Kitchener, for putting on a great show. That's how we win respect. This stuff. That's what happened with KamehaCon. And a lot of people thought that I was going to try and get people to go after KamehaCon, right? That to force them or strong arm them into bringing back Vic. And I said, some people actually approached me to do that. No one associated with any lawsuits before anybody gets any wrong ideas. It was just people online. Hey, do we go after these guys? Do we try and shut down their show? No, of course not. Of course not.
That make us no better than them.
Right. The only call to action you'll ever find me making is positive. Go be positive towards this thing because they did what you like. And that's what I believe in general. Reward people who do what you like, buy their stuff. Support their things. If you can't pay for it, you don't have to buy something. Just share it. Sharing something on social media is buying it. And I don't think that's communicated well enough. But those shares are as valuable as many of the donations or purchases that people will get. So that's it. But you got to hold the leaders accountable if they're calling you into doing this cancel culture type stuff, if they're trying to lead an ideology or read it into something. If you notice the strains of it, don't call them out in public because they'll get defensive. Send them a DM. Hey, let's be careful here. What are we doing? Is this the right thing? Are you sure? And then you guys are the acid test, right? Same thing with brands, brand loyalty, and purchasing stuff that is your escapism. I mean, a YouTube click is a purchase. So if it's someone on YouTube, stop watching, send them a message, say, hey, I like your stuff, but I don't like what you're doing here. We listen. We very much listen to that. I mean, you might get a snarky reply from time to time. but it depends on how you approach the person. Just say, hey, I like your stuff. I'm not sure I agree with this. Can you explain it to me? If you don't like their explanation, there's other YouTubers.
Exactly.
There's always someone else. There's always someone with something to say. So, and I hold that standard for myself too. And people, I try to respond to emails. I get a lot, so I'm bad at it. But
yeah, you are.
No, Tori.
Part of your job.
Ask Ron, who puts on the show. Terrible at responding.
I tried to ask the sucker. He didn't want to answer me.
I give him permission to say I am god awful at responding to things. Back in the back. What's up?
Hello. Okay. So
bagpipes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's very nice. Very smelly. But yeah, in terms of the big case, in my current situation, there's been a lot of backfire and a lot of negative feedback whenever I try to say Vic will win this case, because every time I get a response like that, I'm basically left with a lot of confusion, a lot of responses from lawyer enthusiasts from either Twitter, Reddit, whatever, telling me that the case is not at all successful because of how it's laid out. So what would be your reaction to that?
My reaction to that is you're not responsible for how the case is laid out. Thank God I'm not either.
Yeah.
But that's the double-edged sword of watching from the sidelines, right? Is when things go your way, it's great. It's fantastic. You get to say, yeah, we did it, Reddit. When things don't go your way, we have to sit there and say, with hindsight, I wish this would have gone a different way, right? One thing that Ty talked about on the stream just after the dismissal was he wished he would have identified sooner how Judge Chupp was reacting to he has a self-deprecating style. So if you notice at the beginning of the hearing transcript, he is deferential to Judge Chupp. He is kind of taking, well, sorry, I did this, or I didn't explain this very well. And he was not getting good traction with that. Chupp didn't respond to that. A lot of judges will. Depends on where you are. It always depends on the judge you have. About halfway through the hearing, he changed tactic and he became a little more confrontational with Judge Chupp and seemed to get a little bit better response. He got some more thought put into Chupp's responses to him. He got a little bit more agreement or affirmation in what he was saying. Now, ultimately, he blanked him on all of the counts in the order, but at first he was blanking them from the bench, right? And then by the end, he was reserving things for a later decision. So we get with hindsight the ability to go back and say, well, I wish this would have been done differently, or I wish we could have included this, or sometimes I get sent things still that would have been useful back when all this was happening. It's like, man, I wish I would have had this to pass along because this might have gone really well in a motion somewhere. We didn't have that at the time. So as for whether or not Vic will win the lawsuit, it's important not to take responsibility of that, because the lawsuit is a thing that is going, and it will be taken care of by the law firms, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's no amount of public pressure, there's no amount of public support or public unsupport that will change the outcome of the lawsuit. That will be done in its own environment, and that's why we have the court system the way it is. What you guys can do is be positive about Vic, be positive about the shows that bring him, because that's the other part, that's the next page of the book, right, is what happens now. Vic has asserted and maintained his innocence in all of this the entire time. There hasn't been any evidence produced to the contrary.
There is no evidence.
Exactly. The initial allegations have morphed so much into this, well, we're generally uncomfortable with the fact that he hugged someone. Well, too bad.
He's not hugging you, don't worry about it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I'm the one that's
maybe that's
giving
the
my
problem.
lifestyle.
Maybe he's not. But the point in all that is,
I got a whole bunch of these
that's the area where we matter a lot. And that's the area where if you support Vic, if you like him, if you like his work, and if you want to see him continue in this industry and branch into other industries, that's what the next step is, and that's where your energy should be focused. The appeals court has a very tough job. They have to decide to support a lower court judge or overturn it. Now, appeals courts overturn judges all the time, but much more often they support them. And so no matter what 3-judge panel you get, that's in the back of their minds. Do we go against another person of the cloth, so to speak, right?
Right. So basically, the appeals court can either reject Trump's decision.
They can reject any of Chupp's decisions, or all of them, or none of them. It'll be up to them.
So
But
it
there's
could be
nothing-
a bad case, a bad thing for the defendant, as in Ty and Vic, and mainly you. But at the same time, it could be like bad for the other people, like Jamie Bitch Markey, Juan Sawyer,
Yeah.
and Monica Rios.
Right. It's the appeals court is Vic's team saying we disagree with the decisions Judge Chupp made. Please review them, and if you agree with us and they were incorrect, let's overturn it. But I discourage people from arguing with lawyers on Twitter.